Well, another episode in the House of the Dragon, and gotta say, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's good. Basically, all House of the Dragon is sort of it's a primetime soap opera, sort of like Dallas with dragons. So you got the family turmoil and all this succession stuff and jealousies between them all. And it plays out, and then there's this backdrop of a war, and you think you got this scary villain who I didn't know if they were suggesting this was going to be their Night King, but instead it was Crab King. He was giving everyone crabs. A spoiler, he doesn't survive this one. Doctor Who makes short work of him. Well, he had to really work at it. Yeah. So the bulk of it is all about the succession and the troubles that Rhaenyra is facing. Of course, once again, they jump ahead. So, King has married her BFF and probably more, at least she wanted it to do more. And so she gave birth to a son. So there you go. Now he has a son. And, of course, everybody wants this kid to be the king. So they're just going to forget all about Rhaenyra. And there she is. And she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? The father is still determined that she is the heir, because that's what he named, But everyone behind him, all the rats and snakes are conniving and manipulating him and everything. But the guilt of what he did in the pursuit of a son and what he did to his wife, whom he did genuinely love, which was, Rhaenyra's mother. And that's the thing. That's the tortured thing. They do love each other. His daughter is all he has left of his one true love, and so he loves her. And but they're torn apart by what they're expected to do, their royal responsibilities and whatnot. And yet, through all that, even though they're both being treated that way by the same forces, they can't quite come together. And in the end, she kind of wants the crown, But as a matter of survival, she probably has to achieve it, But he's trying to hurt. She needs to get married. She doesn't want to. I suspect it's because she's not really into dudes. Well, who knows? But even though they do suggest one of these knights who's there to protect her might be the guy that she would actually be interested in, but he's not of high blood stock, if you will. And the king is just, it looks to be they're suggesting that he's starting to succumb to some sort of illness. He's getting, because of his guilt and whatnot, his depression is slowly killing him. And sooner or later, they're going to have to make a decision once he's gone. But pretty much everybody, the powers that be, have decided it's going to be the son, even to the point that his hand is suggesting, well, why don't you just have Rhaenyra marry your son? That's good God. Of course, Game of Thrones, this is was well in practice. So the idea, because, at least they're only half siblings. And he says, hey, that'll keep the line in. And the other option was they want her to go ahead and marry the son of what's his name, the sea snake, they call him, because they're distant cousins and all that, and they still keep the royal line. One of the Lannisters, their forebears are around. Even Baratheon showed up at one of the other episodes, and he makes a play for her, but she's all insulted by it. And her father was encouraging the guy, well, make your move. We can arrange that. That would be a good family to merge with and all that. Well, she's not going for it. She gets all mad. She goes off in the night with her. They have this moment, but, we'll have to see. Meanwhile, Doctor Who is fighting the war with the Crab King. And despite having great air support with his dragon, apparently they're still losing. So I found that a bit hard to believe, but I guess the crabs knew how to hide in the caves well. and the dragon couldn't do much about it. So eventually, they convinced the king to send some help, but Doctor Who's not happy about that because that takes his victory away. So he gambles everything on pretending to surrender to the Crab King, and at the last minute he starts slaughtering all the guys because he draws them to him. But I mean, the idea that he would survive this is a bit much. They shower him with arrows, but he manages to dodge all of them except for a few, and then he's kind of wounded, and he's laying there hiding under the ruins of the battle, and then the backup force shows up, and the dragon shows up and burns all the other soldiers as they're about to take him out. And then he spots the Crab King, and he chases him. He's actually Prince Jahar or whatever, but I think, they're going to have some duel or he'll disappear into the cave. No, he comes back out, and there's the slaughtered Crab King. He cut off not only his head, but his shoulder and one of his arms, and brings that to show the sea snake that, well, war's over, we got him. And the reason he did this is that he didn't want to be seen as if his big brother had to come save him. So, yeah, that's where it ends there. For that, I suppose it's possible that wasn't really the Crab King because he was wearing the mask. So perhaps somebody went for it, and Damon thought he had him cornered and chopped his head off, and thought, there, I've got him. And fooled you again, Doctor Who. And so maybe something like that. And so, but just on the basis of a primetime soap opera, it's intriguing and all that stuff. It's more of the same, and you kind of have derivative characters sort of repeating more or less here and there. Just sort of swap them around for this version of the series. And, of course, it's haunted by the failure of Game of Thrones. And that's no matter how good it might be. And at this point, I'm just saying it's a good show. I'm not saying that this is brilliant. It doesn't have the excitement and quite the wonder that Game of Thrones initially had when it was really good. But of course, maybe some of that is tempered by the realization that this all leads to the failure of the final seasons of Game of Thrones. But even so, even if that hadn't happened and was really good, I would have a better attitude about this one, but I still don't see it on par with how that series opened up, So... But it's a good show, and by comparison, of course, to the Rings of Power, there's no contest. I mean, even in this battle, as gritty and nasty as it was and all that sort of stuff, it was well orchestrated, well shot, well performed. The dragons looked good. All of that stuff is just better, despite, Rings of Power having way more money to spend all that stuff. And don't really see it. The only thing is, of course, the shower of arrows. Not buying that one. Of course, it's not quite, flying around like Peter Pan and that sort of thing. But still, there's going to be stumbles and mistakes here and there. But so there you are, House of the Dragon, second of his name, which I suppose refers to the newly born prince to the king. So we'll see how that goes in the young and the restless days of our lives of medieval times with dragons.